Welcome, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well today. My name is Joel Kaplan. I'm the Associate Dean for Professional Graduate Programs. And today we are going to talk about our programs in the new media management strategic communication realm. So we have four programs that we'll be talking about today. New media management, public relations, public diplomacy, and global communications, and advertising. And we have the program directors from all those programs here. In the first half hour, I'm going to call on them and they're going to kind of talk about their programs from soup to nuts, from the beginning of the program to the end. All of these programs are one-year wraparound programs, except for the public diplomacy and global communications program, which is a year and a half because the last semester is spent in Washington, D.C. So they'll talk about from beginning to end, and then for about the first half hour, then the second half hour we'll be putting you in breakout rooms for the program that you're most interested in. And both Martha Correa, who is my assistant director in here, with the snow falling in the background, because it is snowing today. It's been snowing here actually since July. And by the time you get here, it should all be melted. And but most people don't know it because they're like zooming in, so they think it's fake. But no, that is real snow out there. And the First Amendment is wrapped around the building, but I think there's something appropriate about it snowing on Congress at the moment, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, so the second half hour, you will go into the breakout rooms, but Martha and I will be in the main room if you have specific general questions. If you have questions right now, a general question as opposed to a specific question about anything, feel free to put it in the chat and we will try to get to it. So we're going to start with public diplomacy and global communication, and that will be Dennis Kinsey, who is the director, and he's joined by Steve Pike, who teaches in the program. He won't be talking now, but he will be with you in the breakout room. So Dennis, boot camp to DC. Let's hear about it.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to our Zoom conversation. It's great to see you all. Thank you, Dean Kaplan, for inviting me to join you today. I love the public diplomacy and global communications program, and I'm happy to talk about it. But first, let me just congratulate you for considering graduate school. I mean, it says a lot about you. It says that you're intellectually curious, that a bachelor's degree is not enough for you, that you want to go on and get that degree that, less than 10% of the world has as a master's degree. So congratulations. The public diplomacy and global communications program, as Dean Kaplan said, is a year and a half. So you start off in the summer, and you'll start around July. July 4th here, welcome to July 4th, here's your book, start studying. You'll take 2 classes during the summer, and this is the boot camp. And the 2 classes we have, really, one serves as a gateway course into the major. So it's an introduction to public diplomacy and communication. And in that course, we're going to focus on kind of the 2 elements of this degree that come together, and that's public relations from the Newhouse School and international relations from the Maxwell School. The great thing about this program is it really does take the kind of 2 of the big gorilla schools on campus, the Newhouse School and the Maxwell School, and kind of divides this degree in half. Half of your courses are going to come from Newhouse and half from Maxwell. So you're going to pick up the international relations side of things from Maxwell, and from Newhouse, you're going to pick up those communication skills that public diplomacy people, but public diplomats so desperately need. And so you'll see during the course of this, the year and a half, that you're really going back and forth between classes at Newhouse and Maxwell. In the summer, though, you start off with 2 Newhouse courses, and you'll take the Introduction to Public Diplomacy, and then you'll take a Visual Communication, Visual Theory course. Visual communication is more important today than it's ever been. In fact, many cultures respond better to visual communication than to the written word or spoken word. And so visual communication is important for us because we're all about understanding culture, we're understanding people from around the world, we're about building relationships, opening doors of communication, and reducing misunderstanding. So these are skills that we need. So you start off in the summer with those two courses called the boot camp, but I gotta tell you, no one's ever been drummed out of boot camp here in public diplomacy. And it has to do with the fact that you guys are dedicated, you're determined, you're intellectually curious, and you're not gonna let some difficult classes stop you from achieving your goals. So you'll make it through boot camp fine. And then in the fall semester, your first fall semester, you'll take 2 classes from us, Newhouse, and then you'll also take 2 classes from Maxwell. And this will be the pattern through the rest of your degree. Spring, same thing, 2 classes down here, 2 classes up there. I say up there because Maxwell is kind of a little bit further up on the hill, but it's within walking distance. And even so, though it's snowing here, you'll be able to make it back and forth. And then your summer, so we've gone through the first year. Your summer, you do an off-campus internship, and this is a Maxwell requirement. And so our students have interned at some fantastic places. The World Wildlife Fund, for example, at the United States House of Representatives, UN headquarters in Geneva. We've had interns at the Brookings Institute, USAID, interns at Save the Children, UNICEF, the Department of Labor, and also the State Department, both at the headquarters in DC and at overseas embassies. And in our breakout session, Professor Pike was a diplomat for 2 decades, and he can tell you all about embassy work and that sort of thing. So then after that summer, you come back to campus, but not SU campus, not Syracuse. You go to Washington, D.C., and you spend the last semester in Washington, D.C., taking 2 public diplomacy focused courses and doing a DC-based public diplomacy internship. At that point, you graduate and we sing your praises, and then you go out and you start changing the world for the better. If you want to change the world for the better, if you really want to do something with this master's degree, you come see Steve Pike and me after this in our breakout room. We'll tell you more about it. And as Steve says, we may have a seat for you. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Kinsey. And something tells me there's going to be a lot of job openings in the next year or so for people interested in public diplomacy.
I think you're right.
Right. Next up is Dr. Gina Luttrell, who runs our graduate program in public relations.
Good afternoon and welcome. It's so good to see so many people here today. So I'll talk to you a little bit about our program here, and then when we go into the breakout room, I'll dive into deeper details. But I have to say, the field of public relations is evolving at such an unprecedented rate. So in our program, students learn how to succeed in the ever-changing facets of the public relations environment. I think you'll hear across the board from all of us. All of our work starts in boot camp. So in our boot camp session, our students take a Foundations of Analytics, Social Listening, and Information Gathering class. So this really sets the foundation for many of the courses that you're going to take throughout the entire one-year program here in our master's program for PR. Because we use social media, analytics, listening in almost every one of our courses, from our writing all the way through our research, all the way through working with our clients. So that's one of the classes that you'll take. Another one is our Writing for News and Public Relations. This is a foundational writing class. So if you think of paid, earned, shared, and owned, which we call the PISO model, in this class we focus on traditional forms of writing like press releases, brochures, and we'll get into some of the social media writing in this class. But this is a building block class, and so when you move into the fall semester, what you learn there will carry through. And then finally, in our summer boot camp, we have a graphic design fundamentals class. And so every practitioner has to know how to create materials. And so in that class, you learn some web development, you learn some multimedia. So our summer goal for you really is to build the foundation and bond with your cohort, which you will most definitely do because you're with your cohort 5 days a week, basically. So that's really an important piece for us, is that you connect with your professors and that you connect with others in your program. In the fall, we really start to dive into some of the other elements of our program. So I told you that you take a Foundations of Writing course in the summer. In fall, you'll take an additional writing class. You will take your research class. Our research class and our campaigns class are tied together. So in the research class, you're given a client, and it depends on what their needs are, but you meet with the client and you build an entire research project for them. That sometimes will lead into the summer session, or I'm sorry, into the spring session, and you'll continue to work with them and build out that campaign. So again, very hands-on. We do have some electives that I'll talk about when we jump into our 30 minutes in a moment. And let's see, and then in our spring semester, our goal here really is to help you build your national network. And we want to make sure that you are building your portfolio and that you are starting to look toward the end of your time here at Syracuse. And then in the summer semester, our students, depending if you're a professional track student or a thesis track student, if you're a professional track student, you take a culminating exam, and then you also embark on an internship. And then in the summer class, and if you're a thesis student, you'll finish your thesis program. But I have to say that our students really do so much, from writing to graphic design, interactive communication, multimedia, from producing campaign materials to working with clients. That's really what we're all about. And if I had to sum up 4 reasons to join our program: 1, you gain hands-on experience. So research, social media, analytics, artificial intelligence, client work. Our professors are leading researchers and practitioners with experience in private sector, nonprofit, corporate, agency, and government. We are bar none. We have very small class sizes, so our professors get to know every one of you. You're not a face in a crowded room. We care, we're engaged, and we're committed to your success. And we have an amazing alumni network. So our Newhouse graduates are everywhere. And when I say that, I mean it, and that is something you will hear throughout your entire time here. And we are dedicated to helping the next generation of our Newhouse Orange graduates succeed. So I can promise you, by the time you leave here, you will be equipped with the technical skills you need to be in public relations, and you'll also learn the management skills to advance in the professional world.
Thanks so much, Gina. Appreciate that. Next up is going to be Steve Massaclat, Professor Massaclat, who I consider one of the great futurists on our faculty. Back in the last millennia, he actually created a new media program before people even knew what new media was. And now, of course, all media is new media. And so we combine aspects of that program with our media management program to come up with new media management, which kind of combines our Newhouse courses with business and management type courses. So Steve, you're up.
Okay, welcome everybody. It's always tough following Dennis and Gina. So I'll give you the broad overview. 1-year program. In the first summer, there's an intensive reading class, and you'll take, well, 2 intensive reading classes, a technology and environment reading, and then a law reading class. In 2007, I was an IBM fellow, and I spent that year traveling all around the world. So I was doing research with IBM's Global Innovation Outlook team, and they were looking at how, amongst other things, the media business was changing, right? So there were a few key readings that I came away from that program with. And that's just one of the things I have all the students who enter the program do, is get that deep indoctrination into frameworks for thinking about the way things are changing. Right, so that's the intensive reading class, or summer. In the fall, you'll take an applied research class with me, and then you'll take web development classes. So you'll learn the technological side at a pretty deep level, and you'll also learn the business side by taking courses in the Whitman School. The spring's really about deeper exploration. There's an alumni class. So Gina talked about how we have alumni everywhere. What you'll find in this program is the alumni are part of the program. I've done it deliberately. I've integrated them into a spring semester class. In the pre-COVID days, we would go down to New York and spend a week with them. This year, it's going to be all through Zoom. But the alumni that are out there working are feeding their issues back into the program. So we are always dealing with what's new. Dean Branham, who was the dean immediately prior to the current dean, used to ask, she used to kid me and ask, when's new media going to stop being new? And over the years, I developed a response. I said, every year there's something new, right? So that's the sort of organizing principle for this program. There is constant innovation being driven by places like Silicon Valley, right? Or entrepreneurs in New York, Silicon Alley. They're driving change. And what we need to be able to do is be able to deal with that, very quickly understand it, and then come up with a strategic plan to thrive in that environment. So if there's an organizing principle for the program, that's it. That's reflected in our capstone. The capstone in the New Media Management program is different from all the others. I have never done the same thing twice. One year for some alums working at a Wall Street program, we developed an Alexa skill that taught people about cryptocurrency. Another year, we did an analysis of a newspaper, a small town newspaper that had lost its publisher and had to rethink its business model, all right? Let me share my screen. I'll show you what we did this year, or just this past summer, right? We immediately looked for, I reached out to alumni and said, how are you dealing with changes? So we wrote this report using a theoretical framework, an analysis framework called the SOAR framework. And we saw how different alumni are dealing with change. This alum, Suya Wang, no joke, the most accomplished person to ever come into this program, all right? She had been an account executive at Ogilvy Beijing. She was so qualified upon graduating, no one would hire her because she would be too expensive. She started her own company, and today she lives in Toronto. She's a leading go-between between Western companies who want to advertise in China and Chinese media companies who are looking to help Western companies. So that's the kind of people that we put out, right? We've never done the same thing twice in a capstone. So the upcoming one, I was contacted by a 2012 alum named Nick Duger, who is now the manager of a sales and fulfillment platform company. Basically, if you want to sell stuff on Amazon or through Instagram, and you own a business, you have to become your own marketing department. So they're a software platform company that helps people do that. And he has trouble communicating to new business people how to be a media company. So he's reached out to me to ask the capstone group for help, and that's probably the project we're going to take on this year, right? We're always flexible, always looking to do different things. And that's the last thing I'll say about that is that's reflected in my life at the Newhouse School. This past summer, I gave a presentation with Gina in San Diego at the National PR Conference. I've published with Dennis Kinsey in the Q Methodology Journal fairly early on in my career. So the people I'm turning out, I'm sorry to say this, but they're a bit like me. They're able to apply whatever new thing has come along to wherever the problem and the opportunity is and thrive doing that. All right, so that's it for me.
Thank you, Professor Masclat. I should add that Professor Masclat is a former Marine, so he's undaunted by any challenge, so to speak. All right. Last but of course not least in my book is Professor James Sau, Dr. Sau, who is the chair and program director of our graduate advertising program.
Thank you, Joel. Advertising is a show me business. So I was told to prepare 100 slides for this presentation, particularly under the pressure from the three outstanding colleagues right before me. So let me share my screen. I'll finish that within 5 minutes. Can you see the screen? Can you see it? Okay,
yes.
Great. So within 5 minutes, I'm going to give you some snapshots about the advertising program. Okay. First of all, give you a little bit of perspective. So advertising is more than a major. When you start out in this program, day one is a career. Your career begins. Okay. And which means, well, you're studying the professional curriculum. You'll be starting to connecting with the industry. Everything begins on day one, as a matter of fact. It's a very close connection with the industry in this program. I have so many things can be shared with you later, but I'm going to follow the instructions to talk about the recent graduates. And this was the class graduate in 2019. You can see that it's very diverse. Every year our program is very diverse. I think in other programs too, in PR, in public diplomacy and media management, every class is very diverse, as a matter of fact. And they come everywhere, from Florida, from New York, from Hawaii. I have a Catherine from Hawaii, from Guatemala, from California, from Tennessee, and so forth. Okay, so, and then I began to trace their first job 2 months after graduation. I don't take the second job as credits, only the first job. Okay, so this is the result. Take a look at it. I mean, you don't need to mention and you don't need to pay attention to names. Pay attention to the job title, company, and location. Look at the location, okay? And look at the company. The companies, most of them are top leading advertising agencies. Area 23, Omnicom, that's a global agency. Partner and Napier, that's a regional agency, but it's a great agency in Rochester. Carrot is a global agency. Chemistry is a hybrid advertising agency. 360i is the best, one of the best digital agencies. Spark Foundry, that's again is a hybrid agency. Essence, global agency. FCB, BBDO, Wunderman Thompson, you name it. Those are iconic agencies. Okay, Saatchi & Saatchi, of course. So that gives you some example. It's a kind of snapshot, but I guarantee that I have the other about 10 years. I mean, the first job, information is very consistent, year by year. Faculty-wise, just so you know, every Saturday prior to COVID-19, every Saturday, we have a party. We dress up like this. Students are not invited, just so you know. We only invite the faculty. Of course, COVID-19 wiped out this opportunity, so now we don't have party anymore. But anyway, Daniela Mota is our newest member. That's from the picture was added later. Again, snapshot. I'll let you read it by yourself. So that's the background we are recruiting, the full-time faculty members, okay? Let me see. This one, Kevin O'Neill. Kevin O'Neill used to be a top, copywriter, creative director, is a co-founder of 2 top agencies in New York. And recently, not recently, 7 years ago, we have a Big O'Neill and Little O'Neill. And they work together. They did a commercial together, as a matter of fact. That was 7 years ago. Big O'Neill came here. They did a commercial, was anti-binge drinking. Look at how respectful for the Big O'Neill to our Little O'Neill. Look at that. You don't see that kind of gesture somewhere else. This one here, this is now we're getting the curriculum. Curriculum is really a 1-year cost-effective and intensive program in advertising management and strategy. It's very much project-driven and professional curriculum. It's closely connected to advertising industry. This morning, in my research class, I had a team about 5 members from Y&R. This team, they have been teaching the class for 3 weeks. Okay, we're not talking about one person. We're talking about a team of 5 members. They come here to work with the students in the breakout rooms, almost like one-on-one, and that kind of dynamics. And this one here gives you some ideas about class clients. This is one of them, might be 8 pages I can share with you. The clients, Samsung, Chobani, and so forth, every semester, every year is a different client for every class. The name after the slash, those are agency names. Just so you know, those are top agencies, okay? So every year we have different clients, and the clients are sponsored by the agencies or invited by the agency to give us the projects. And this one here, now we're talking about this class was 2012, if I remember correctly. 2012, they were presenting the project, which is the capstone class. The project was Cosmopolitan to the Cosmopolitan top seven, I think the leaders in the company. And where are they now? Look at the names and the location. Ashley is a tweeter, and Kristen is a senior consultant for Bloomberg. Camille is Walmart. Okay, Walmart senior manager. Kirsten is in New York, and Chelsea is in Buffalo. Okay, so that gives you again a snapshot of this program. And the final picture I'd like to show you is this one here. This is the curriculum. So the during the boot camp weeks, the 2 classes, okay, advertising 611, strategic principles and practice, and then visual communication theory and practice. And next one, fall semester, 3 anchored advertising courses. Okay, these are very much project driven. Every class is project. We're not talking about small project, we're talking about big project provided by, supported by the agencies. Then you have a chance to take elective, and then spring semester, you have to take, advertising PR law, career brand, and ICC, ADV 523, digital branding and strategy class, and elective, okay? The summer class, and the 6 credits, it's a capstone class, and you can use 3 credits to do an internship to replace those 3 of the 6 credits for the capstone class. So that's the curriculum. And then for the 2 electives, you can choose any of the courses from here, from this list. As a matter of fact, I probably can make 2 pages of these courses for you to choose from. So you can, now that these different snapshots give you pretty good, ideas about how extensive it is, how intense it is, just for 1 year, how much you can learn, okay? So guarantee that, if you want to learn, you get it. For this advertising program, we can help you. That's really why I said advertising is not only a major, it's a career, and just go for it. So that's my end of my presentation. Joe, it's all yours. Let me stop.
Thanks, James. Stop sharing your screen. Fantastic. So we're kind of out of time, but I just want to give Gina and Steve and Dennis a quick, just tell us, not the student's name, but in recent grads, kind of 4 places that they're working right now. Gina, you want to go first on that?
Sure. So our students have ended up at Edelman, DKC, Sony, Chobani. Some of our students go into nonprofits, so they're at the American Red Cross, United Way. Dennis can talk more, and Steve can talk more about some of the political affiliations, but many of our students also work with politicians throughout the US.
Great, thanks, Gina. Dennis? You're on mute.
Yeah, one day I'll figure that out. I've only been doing this Zoom stuff for 2 years. Our students go a lot of different places. Some are interested in kind of the public diplomacy cone of governments, and they'll work for US government or their own government. We've got people in the State Department, the Department of Defense. But we also have people who've really grabbed onto the public relations side of things and have started working in public relations firms in the international public relations side of things. A few students do that. One of my favorites is a guy, a former student who was at NASA. Man, NASA. And Gina talked about having clients. In public diplomacy, we have clients as well, and NASA was our client once, which was super. Smithsonian as well, the World Wildlife Fund. Pretty much students can go where they want to with this degree, and that was I'm very pleased about that. Whether you're interested in government public relations or not-for-profit, public diplomacy. People started their own NGOs, for example, non-governmental organizations. One woman in our program started HAVSER, which is an NGO in Haiti, and she started that while a student.
Great, Dennis. Thanks a lot, Steve.
In tech, people are at Google, LinkedIn, and SAP. In media, Megavati Suresh is the head of consumer engagement for The Guardian. Bryce Kirchhoff is at PBS Digital. Andrea, I'm blanking on Andrea's last name, is at CBS Digital. I have folks at Wall Street firms, right? So wherever the opportunity is and the interest is.
So very quickly before we break, I wanted to say, first of all, these 4 or 5 with Steve did a fantastic job. But the 2 real strengths of the Newhouse School and our programs, in my mind, are our faculty. And by the way, all these program directors are also faculty. So they'll be teaching and they'll be and I'm faculty, and so I teach in classes as well. So that's why I think faculty is our strength, right, guys? Beyond that is our alumni. And you've heard a lot about that. Steve talked about that, but our alumni network is second to none. And the program directors in the breakout can tell you about, the 6,000 people who want to be in our database, who want to help students, because that's how they give back. I mean, most of us, other than those and some in advertising, you may imagine, they make a good living, but they're not worth millions of dollars. So what they do is they give back with their time and their commitment to the school, and they come back as opposed to with their money. Although we accept money too. We're happy on that. So, all right, Martha, you're in charge. Explain how the breakout room's going to work, and that most of them should be able to go to whatever room they want to. And by the way, if you're in one room and you want to go to another, you should feel free to do so as well.
Okay. Did you want to say anything about COVID and our classes, or?
They can talk about it. I was just going to say that we're one of the few schools, I think, that we're able to have, at least for our grad students, to have in-person classes. And I think that really made a huge difference. Unfortunately, we had to do the summer boot camp online, so we learned how to do that. And it worked out better than I think most of us expected to. But the real benefit was that we were here and we got to go almost for the entire semester. We made it to last Thursday. So we were kind of a week and a half short, but we were pretty pleased on that. And knock on wood, next semester will be fine. And really knock on wood, we'll have those vaccines so that we'll be able to go back to normal when you guys start in July.
Okay, so I'm hopeful that most, if not all of you, can see an icon at the bottom that says breakout rooms. And when you click on that, you should be able to see the 4 I've set up, and you should be able to assign yourselves to one. If for some reason you're not seeing it, you can just throw in the chat where you'd like to go, but you can go ahead and join those rooms. And if for any reason you can come back to the main room, and Dean Kaplan and I are available if you have another question, admissions related or anything else. But otherwise you can go right ahead.